Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser. I'm physically back at school again. I don't have a light, so that's why I'm going to look more washed out than usual, especially while wearing white with white and white and white, 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 white behind me. But what you going to do? But it's almost Wednesday, so you know what time it is. We're going to talk about what books I'm reading, the books that come out on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. After this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. Coming up first from Image Comics is crossover number 3. I really liked issue 2. I thought it was very intense compared to the events that went on in number 1. That I get that number 1 was a little slow for some folks, but I've talked to a handful of people who've read the preview of number 3 and they said, holy crap, it's amazing and a lot of stuff happens, so I'm excited for that one. Next from DC is Dark Knight's Death Metal number 7. Is this the last one? I still have to read all of Death Metal. I have a big old pile of Death Metal and I don't know when it's ending, but that's mostly on me. All right. Next up from Image Skybound is Firepower number 7. Not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed in how the first arc wrapped up. That it just didn't sit right with me. Not enough for me to go, I'm done with Firepower and burning it to the ground. But I definitely think that it gets an issue or two more on my pull list, and if I'm not hooked after number 8 again, then I'm gonna have to yeet it off the pull list, which that's my goal. I'm condensing, and this week's pull list looks ridiculously small compared to my average week, so I'm very excited about that, as is my wife and wallet. Next up from Marvel, we have Hellions number 8. I finally got caught up with all things X-Men and all of the 40 billion X-adjacent titles through the end of last week. And I like how they're kind of playing on and off with the tie-in from the aftermath of the Ten of Swords event that, like I said, I wasn't too keen on how it ended, but I like how they're kind of piecing together some of the things now, and I'm intrigued to see what happens mostly in Hellions, since they were the team that, were impacted by their visit to Araco, and that seems to become the next ongoing storyline, as, we got to see more island hookup in the last book. Next up from Mad Cave Studios is Honor and Curse number 7. Not gonna lie, I have not read the first arc. It is literally the last thing from Mad Cave for me to read, so I will be pulling these and picking up the first volume in trade soon. Next from Marvel, we've got Iron Man number 5. Each week I've said that Cantwell and his artistic team has his hooks in me, that in the same way that they made Doctor Doom a compelling story to me, Iron Man number 5 is also good. I'm also wondering if anything that happened in the Iron Man King in Black crossover book will have any repercussions in this storyline, because I think watching the fusion of the symbiote with Iron Man is something that's kind of interesting, especially when he apparently pulled symbiote things out of Santa Claus. But I think these are going to be separate things, that Iron Man will kind of stay in his lane with Cantwell, and we'll see other Iron Man developments in all of the King in Black books. Next up is Juggernaut number 5. Like I said last week, number 3 was just okay. Number 4 was just okay. I'm literally picking up number 5 because it's the last book, and I guess I'm a completionist. Our first in King in Black crossover books or tie-in books from the week is Return of the Valkyries number 1. This is one of the ones that I'm looking forward to the most, that I am a big Valkyrie fan. I'm a big Jane Foster fan. I really, really loved Jason Aaron's run on Jane Foster Valkyrie. So we will see if the setup in this book is good, especially since we've seen little nods to Jane Foster in 2 of the previous King in Black books. From Marvel is MODOK Head Games number 2. First, I'm never going to say no to a comic book that is written by Patton Oswalt. Second, the first one was oddly good, that MODOK is getting to learn more about elements of his programming from, being kind of evolved in the machine. And apparently he gets to hook up and do some good with Iron Man, so I'm all about good guy MODOK, that we can see that giant head and head beam go to good instead of bad. Next up is The Resistance Reborns number 1. This is from AWA. If you didn't read The Resistance, it was kind of their keystone series from 2020, setting up the shared universe of all things AWA, where something happens and, a good chunk of the global population is dead, but some people develop superpowers as a result. So this is going to give us a bit of the before, telling us about the people and how they kind of develop their powers and that kind of stuff. So I really liked The Resistance. It was in my books of the year from AWA. So I'm all about wading into that series even more. Next up is Spider-Woman number 8. I really like number 7 in terms of looking at her interaction, in terms of dealing with the symbiote, right? You see the effects of her on the serum where she full-on goes berserker and literally beats the creature that attacks her into a puddle. And the rest of her crew becomes so afraid that they lock her in a Hulk tank, and then out of nowhere, Octavia Vermis shows up with it's either more serum or an antidote. So I'm excited to see what happens if the 2 of them start working together, since when they left whatever the land of snow and dinosaurs were, that it was not on the best of terms. So I'm excited to see how this one shapes out. That I thought, books 5 and 6 of Spider-Woman were a little on the weak side, but I really liked 7, and I have a high bar set for 8. Next up is Symbiote Spider-Man King in Black number 3. I've really liked these 2 tie-ins because we are still seeing the effects of Null showing up on Symbiote Spider-Man, on how it is kind of forcing a change in his powers. It also looks like we get Kang showing up to maybe help things out, that we saw Kang show up, I think, in 2 different books from the last 2 weeks. So I'm all about Kang getting some play, because maybe he is the only one who can help defeat Null. Next is Thor 11. 9 and 10 have been a wild ride, since Thor is trapped in his alternate world and Dr. Donald Blake has gone mad with power and broken the scepter, whatever it is that is the connection between the Thor and Donald. It also has some implications on the King in Black world, because in 2 different books last week you saw people go, where the hell is Thor? So he's working to free himself. He's getting ready to trap or fight one of the Midgard serpents, because that was set up at the end of book 10. Next, we've got Rise of Ultraman number 5. I think this is a 5 or 6 issue series. Again, Science Patrol has their old ally in tow, and he thinks that they are the only ones, or they think he's the only one who can help them figure out like the kaiju vault, where everything gets sent when they get hit with whatever that ray is that the Science Patrol has on their weapons. But they think that they are on the verge of like an explosion of kaiju invading the planet, and you only get 3 minutes, and then the capsule has to recharge. So we'll see how useful Ultraman can be in fighting the end game. Up next from Image is Unearthed number 9. I think this is the next to last book of the series. But I've enjoyed, all of the members of the team in this, twisted world set up by Cullen Bunn and Baldemar Rivas. In terms of looking at, these beings on whether or not they will successfully take over the planet. It's been a fun ride. I've enjoyed this a lot. I am going to have to pick up both trades of Unearthed so I can read it a couple of times instead of being afraid of touching books. I think the book that I'm the most excited about this week is from Oni Press. It's The Vein number 4, as we're learning more and more about the underground vampire society, civilization, cluster, whatever. Here is where we're learning how they're attempting to recruit and get more followers, more people adhering to the way of the vampire with offers of eternal life. But I think this is a really cool series, and I'm glad that I decided to pick up something else from Oni after Rogue Planet ended. And, I think I'm going to start throwing more books from Oni Press on my list because they put out some pretty interesting things. Next up is Venom 32. This will be interesting to see what this book focuses on, given what happens to Eddie in, I think it was in King in Black number 2. I don't know if I can say more without fully spoiling what happened there if you didn't read it, but Venom 32 will be quite interesting to see how they get themselves out of that pickle. And then the last book of the week, we've got X Factor number 6. Again, I talked about how I'm liking what's going on in the X-Men universe now, post the Ten of Swords event. X Factor and Wolverine are probably 2 of my favorite ongoing titles, so I'm really excited to see what is happening, especially in the youngest of all of the X-Men books, excluding the Sword book that came out 2 weeks ago. But that's it, only 18 books. Ridiculously Marvel heavy this week compared to normal. So if there's anything else new coming out this week that you think I should pick up, as always, let me know down in the comments below. I'm always ready to check out something new. But that's it. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.